The Senate recently approved the upgrade of Federal College of Medical Laboratory Science and Technology Jos to Federal University of Medical Laboratory Science and Technology Jos. So the institution has been upgraded from the level of a college to the level of a university. That is a good news. And but something there that drew my attention was when the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria, their president, congratulated the Senate on that passage of the bill. Then I think it calls for attention for us to look into the bill before that bill is signed into law by the president. First, uh, we can. I heard where the Senate was talking about the need for such a bill was to improve our diagnostic, functions in the country, and to prevent people traveling abroad for the same procedure. I think that's a laudable idea. However, the Senate should also be aware now that the upgrade is being considered. They should be aware that diagnosis is not left for the medical laboratory scientists. It is not only them. The Senate should also be aware that we have pathologists, and these are medical doctors that specialize in different specialties of laboratory medicine. And I will break it down so that somebody that is not in the field of medical practice should be able to understand what I'm saying. First, in for the pathologist, we have the hematologist, we have the immunologist, we have the microbiologist, we have the clinical pathologist, then we have the histopathologist or the histopathologist or the anatomist, histopathologist. So 5 departments, and in that department you still have subspecialties. So if we are considering, because by virtue of Section 2, subsection E of the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act, the Medical and Dental Council has the role to supervise everything in the laboratory, which the medical laboratory is under the clinical laboratory. And the Senate should be careful in passage of laws, bills pertaining to health sector, because it is very complicated. First, Senate should remember it was the same Jos that the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria took the then CMD to court, that the CMD should create their own departments outside these 5 specialties or subspecialties I've mentioned. Yes, they went there. The National Industrial Court, the National Industrial Court gave them the judgment. But the appeal court, which is a court of higher jurisdiction, looked into the matter and upturned the judgment of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria. Because there they said the CMD or the Director of Administration cannot be compelled to create a different department, because it's clear. The pathologists who are medical doctors trained in different areas of laboratory medicine, they cannot be there, and the medical lab scientists will go and be heading the department. And creating a separate department for them definitely will create chaos. Because it is a simple understanding. Let's use that's why at times when I heard that radiographers and radiologists are fighting, I get confused. Why are they fighting? The thing is clear. So there's no need fighting. First, the radiographers are not radiologists. They have different areas of their professions. Now, the radiographers are empowered to run the x-rays, CT scans, MRI. But now they are not empowered by law to interpret it. When they finish, these things are forwarded to the radiologists, who are medical doctors that went into specialization in the area of radiation medicine. Now, is it not a common sense if you can do something but you can't interpret it, that you require the interpretation of somebody with, let's say, higher cerebral capacity that will interpret what you've done? Does it not tell you that that person is higher than you in the hierarchy of knowledge? So how can, for instance, let's say the permanent secretary in the administrative sector, the permanent secretary has observed something, investigated it, and at the end he has to pass it to the commissioner. It is the commissioner that gives the final approval. That is how it is. So if, like the radiographers in America, they are called sonographers, will finish what they are doing in their own separate lab, this CT scan, the MRI, the X-ray, and so on. When they finish, they require another person, now a medical doctor called radiologist in the UK, and the sonologist in America. So they require the radiographers require the radiologist to interpret what they have done. Does it not tell you that the radiologists are higher than the radiographers? The same thing is applicable. These pathologists, just like the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act, Section 2, Subsection E, that I quoted, the Council, Medical and Dental Council, has power over the clinical laboratories. Practical, everything there, they are in control of it. And that is where you see the hematologist, the immunologist, the medical microbiologist, the chemical pathologist, and the histologist or histopathologist. Please, now that we're upgrading that College of Medical Laboratory Science and Technology to a full-blown university, I am aware, please, let there be pathologists, let there be medical doctors there, because you can't make diagnosis without the pathologist. It's very important. Thank you. But remember also the Senate, if this is not done, the same problem that the Medical Laboratory Science Council Act of 2003 created in the health sector is going to create more. It's going to create more, because their act of 2003 created a lot of things. Removed the microbiologists, the people that go to school to study microbiology, the biochemists, the anatomists, removed them because they are claiming that they are the owner of the laboratory, which by right I know they sell it, because in other countries, the people that study microbiology in the university, people that study biochemistry, and people that study anatomy are supposed to be part of the laboratory. Thank you. Let the right thing be done.